Human rights groups, Israeli Holocaust historians, Joe Walsh. With respect. What do you know that they don't know?
With respect. I'm sure it's more than Joe Walsh. But again, just to get back to Russia on this point, Mehdi, so Russia would be forced to use a nuke because Russia is fighting literally an army.
But they could, is what I'm saying. People were worried about Putin using nukes.
But a nuke then would mean the destruction of Russia. That's a whole different equation. Israel doesn't have to use a nuke, and they didn't from day one, to get rid of the Palestinian people.
But they have made life uninhabitable. It's not hypothetical. Right now, as of right now, Gaza is uninhabitable. Donald Trump says so, the President of the United States.
In today's video, Mehdi Hasan absolutely destroys ex-Congressman Joe Walsh in a heated debate on the war on Gaza. Walsh came in with the usual pro-Israel spin, but Mehdi wasn't having any of it. He came loaded with facts, international law, and actual context, and just tore through every tired talking point Walsh tried to drop. Whether it was about civilian casualties, US military aid, or the double standards in how we talk about Gaza, Mehdi exposed the contradictions point by point. Joe tried to pivot, deflect, and shout back, but by the end of the day, he just failed. So let's dive in and watch how Mehdi Hasan shuts down Joe Walsh in this heated debate.
In fact, let me show you. I think we've got some footage. I'd love to get your response to this footage because Gaza, over the last 16 months, have a look at the screen, has suffered an apocalyptic level of destruction. This is a recent drone video from January. 70% of the buildings destroyed. Look at that imagery. That is not an anti-terror operation. That is not just targeting Hamas. That is, look at the imagery. That is something out of, I don't even know what to, is it a Mad Max movie? It's entirety destruction. If that's not genocidal, I don't know what is. I haven't seen scenes like that in Ukraine, maybe in one town, Mariupol, but I haven't seen the entire Gaza Strip.
Mehdi, by every measurement of urban warfare, Israel has gone.
Please don't give me a talking point, Joe.
No, I'm not. I'm looking at that.
Respond to the footage.
I'm responding to the footage.
You don't give a damn about that. That
no,
doesn't bother
I
you.
do. Don't say that.
Well,
I do give a damn.
Engage with it.
I do
Please
give
don't
a
give me
damn.
some talking about urban warfare stats.
No, it is.
I know the stats. I can give you stats. I'm asking you to respond to that footage.
Agreed. And
entire cities and towns wiped
Gaza
out.
needs to be rebuilt.
That's
no
not
doubt.
engaging with the footage.
No, it is.
What is your human reaction to seeing entire towns, cities, refugee camps wiped out?
My reaction is that really sucks. That's horrible. That needs to be rebuilt. But I'm not going to lay the lion's share of the blame on Israel.
The people who wiped that out. The people who chose to drop 2,000-pound bombs on civilian homes, apartments, buildings.
I'm going to lay the lion's share of the blame on Hamas for starting the war on October 7th, knowing exactly what would happen, hiding for years behind their civilians, putting their civilians in harm's way. I'm not going to blame the army.
It's a very strange argument that says they started a war knowing that would happen. So so hold on. So if I start a fight with a known gangster or murderer, and he kills a bunch of my family in response, it's my fault?
Oh.
No, seriously, the law would... It's a very strange argument. You're basically conceding that Israel was going to respond in a genocidal way. That's what you're saying. You're saying Hamas started knowing Israel would do that. That doesn't make it morally right what Israel did.
I'm not conceding that's a genocidal way.
What is that? What is that imagery in your eyes? I'm trying to understand what is that imagery.
That is a horrible result.
That is something we've not seen in modern wars. I mean, what they've done in Gaza, other military commanders, you know this, Joe, including the US, have said, we would never do this.
But Mehdi,
the UK, the US.
Gaza is a very unusual setting for a war like this.
Yes,
I'll give you this. But we're talking about children. We're talking about Hamas that has a history of purposely provoking Israel, then hiding behind...
They would say they're provoked by Israel by an unending occupation.
Now, Joe Walsh tried to push the classic line, it's all Hamas' fault. Israel is just defending itself. But Mehdi wasn't having any of it. He came in with footage of Gaza, entire cities reduced to rubble, 70% of buildings destroyed, schools, hospitals, refugee camps flattened. That's not defense, that's devastation. That's collective punishment on a scale we haven't even seen in Ukraine. And here's the thing. Mehdi's not making this up. UN officials, Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International, and even respected Israeli Holocaust historians have warned that what's happening in Gaza meets the criteria for ethnic cleansing or worse. And Mehdi called it out. If you're saying Hamas provoked Israel into wiping out entire cities, then you're admitting Israel's response is knowingly excessive and indiscriminate. That doesn't make it justified. That makes it monstrous. One kept repeating that Hamas hides behind civilians, but that excuse can't explain the sheer scale of destruction. thousands of children were killed, over 1.8 million people were displaced, and this isn't coming from some fringe source. This is confirmed by the UN and global media on the ground. Mehdi didn't just challenge Joe Walsh, he challenged anyone who still thinks this is a black and white conflict. It's just not.
But I want to ask you this question about civilians. I do want to ask you a question.
I love being with you.
No, but I want to ask you because I want to deal with actual substantive stuff.
But that is substantive
No, it's
stuff.
not. That's opinion. I want to deal with fact.
Oh my God.
It is opinion about who provoked who. We can get into that. I will come to that, I promise. But just dealing with this, I just want to deal with human. Because the reason I want to talk to you about the subject is because at home in the US, I see you caring about human rights, civil liberties, democracy, fascism. And then I see Israel, you're on the wrong side completely. So when I look at, for example, that destruction, I don't think you would defend that if it wasn't Israel that was doing it. Similarly, 6-year-old Hind Rajab, you always say Hamas, Hamas, Hamas. This is the great excuse for Israel committing war crimes. You have a 6-year-old girl, Hind Rajab, infamously killed in a car with her 4 cousins, her uncle and aunt, all killed by an Israeli tank that was firing at them. She makes a 911 call. Very, very tragic, horrific call. They send 2 paramedics, the Palestinians, to rescue her. The Israelis killed the paramedics as well in the ambulance. Sky News, the Washington Post have all debunked the Israeli denials that their tank wasn't in the area at the time. The UK independent investigators, Forensic Architecture, they looked at it and said that the Israelis fired 335 bullets into this car and that the tank driver had to have seen that there were children sitting in this car. How do you defend that, Joe?
I don't.
You do. I've got a quote from you that says, Israel deserves immense praise for winning this war as carefully as they can. Would you say that to the remaining family members of Hind?
No, let me finish.
Would you say that to their faces of Hind Rajab's family?
Oh, God, no. Mehdi, look, I defend the way Israel... Let me finish.
In abstract, which is why I give specific. I know how people do this. Abstract.
No.
Specific.
So let me address both.
Yeah.
I agree. Broadly speaking, I defend the way Israel has fought this war, acknowledging that, and let me finish this thought, that mistakes are made in every war and that there are purposeful, indefensible acts made even by the IDF and any military. And that's an example of one. And this is
So you're agreeing then that in this war that you support, Israel has committed war crimes?
I agree. Purposeful, yes, mistakes have been made.
No, not mistakes.
I'm not going to...
Mistake is, I shot that person, I didn't mean to shoot that person. A war crime is, I deliberately killed a civilian, which you seem to concede for a moment and then you pulled back.
No, hold on. I don't know that I'm going to call it a war crime.
Why?
I'm going to say, I don't know.
What's killing a child with 335 bullets isn't a war crime.
Give me the formal definition of war.
A violation of international humanitarian law, deliberately targeting civilians. What every human rights group... I mean, I could start reading to you from... I could read to you from the International Criminal Court Chief Prosecutor's indictment.
Yes.
We know because he's literally charged the Prime Minister you support with war crimes. And crimes against humanity.
I don't support that Prime Minister.
You've praised Netanyahu.
I also called for him to resign.
I know, but you've also praised him. You've also praised him.
Right. But let me get that on the record.
So I'm factually accurate
2 weeks after October 7th, I said he needs to go.
And then in the 18 months since, you've praised a man who was indicted.
I've also been critical of him as well.
Indicted for war crimes.
I could care less about what the IJC said about war crimes.
You sound like a Republican of old now.
No,
you do. Republicans, this is what I'm saying. At home, you're like rule of law, judiciary, courts. Abroad, screw the ICJ and the ICC. Do you see how you switch from home and abroad? At home, you're Joe Walsh, the Democrat.
Still the same.
Abroad, you're Joe Walsh, supporter of fascism, anti-international law.
Mehdi nailed him. You can't talk about civil liberties and the rule of law in the US, then turn around to dismiss international courts and human rights investigations just because the accused is Israel. You can't hold up the ICC when it comes to Russia, but say I don't care what they say when they charge Israeli officials with war crimes. That's not principle, it's selective morality. The uncomfortable truth is this: over 50,000 Palestinians have been killed, a majority of them women and children, entire neighborhoods leveled, hospitals bombed. This isn't collateral damage, it's systemic and strategic. And yes, numerous human rights groups, including Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch, have called it what it is: a potential war crime, possibly crimes against humanity.
But you know what's great about this whole thing is it's all focused on Israel. You have a for a second talked about what
Well, why would I? You're not a supporter of the Palestinians or Hamas. When I talk to people who support that, I ask them about that. You are a supporter of the Israeli government, so I'm going to ask you about Israel.
And
you can do whataboutism all you want. Again, that's what MAGA people do here. When you ask them about MAGA, what do? They blame the Democrats. So let's not play that game. Let's ask you about Israel.
Mehdi, it's not the MAGA game. I'm going to say yes, Israel's made mistakes. I'm going to say yes.
War crimes.
Israel,
no, I'm asking war crimes.
Israel, call it what you want. Israel.
No, I'm asking you to call it.
And I'm going to tell you. I don't know. I'm going to tell you.
No, Joe.
No,
I'm not going to let you run away with it. You can shout all you want. 335 bullets fired into a car with children. Is that a war crime?
I don't. You know what? Could be. Investigate it. But God damn it,
it was investigated, Joe.
This is what Hamas does all the time.
Joe,
hiding behind civilians is a war crime. You know what slays me about you?
By the way, you said I see you say this all the time.
What?
Hiding behind civilians. And yet, when Israelis actually use Palestinians as human shields, you don't say anything. Last week, it emerged. I checked your Twitter, Joe. You can correct me.
What?
Last week, it emerged that an 80-year-old man, Israeli press reported, was being used as a human shield. They were taking him into houses, putting him in front of them, an actual human shield. Right, they were using a Palestinian man. But they've done that many times. Do you know they've sent? Let me finish the sentence. They send Palestinians into tunnels in Gaza. Have you condemned that as? Have you condemned that as a use of human shields?
Was not aware of it, and if I was aware of it, I'd condemn it.
It's all over the Israeli press.
Why are you not acknowledging that this is Hamas's policy, and this has been their policy from day one?
What I acknowledge about Hamas is irrelevant because I don't support Hamas.
Let me hear you say it.
I don't support Hamas. Do you support Hamas? Do you support Hamas?
No.
Do you support Hamas?
No.
I don't support Hamas. So that's done. Do I support Israel?
Stop for a minute.
Can I finish a sentence?
No.
Can I finish a sentence?
Not when you don't let me finish sentences.
Joe, let me finish mine, but I promise I'll let you give a long answer. I'll give you a long answer if you let me finish this one sentence. I don't support Hamas. Do you support Hamas?
No.
I don't support Israel. Do you support Israel?
Yes.
So that's what we're going to talk about. Now, when
stop. No.
It's very simple. You're here to support Israel.
No, but stop. But Hamas.
Why don't I talk about something we both disagree with?
Hamas has been the governing entity in Gaza for how many years? So yes, you do need to talk about Hamas because Hamas did what they did on October 7th.
And we've condemned it. Do we both condemn that?
Do you condemn? Yes. Do you condemn?
But you're not condemning Israeli war crimes. That's what I don't understand. You're trying to dodge it with whataboutism about Hamas.
Now, the core issue is that Joe wants to have it both ways. He claims to support democracy and human rights, but when Israeli forces fire 335 bullets into a car full of children, he won't even call it a war crime. Instead, he throws out investigate it and pivots back to Hamas. Mehdi pressed him with receipts. Israeli media reports, forensic investigations, and even independent organizations like Forensic Architecture confirming that these were deliberate IDF actions. That's not hearsay, that's evidence. Then there's the whole human shield argument, which Joe throws out like it's a get out of jail free card. But Mehdi flips that too. Israeli soldiers have also been caught using Palestinians as human shields. This isn't speculation. Even Israeli newspapers have reported on it. Yet Joe hadn't said a word. And when asked directly, he admitted he wasn't aware. Come on. If you're going to defend a government, you should at least keep up with what's going on. Mehdi Hasan wasn't debating, he was calling out hypocrisy, demanding consistency, and putting the facts front and center. And that's exactly what this conversation needs. Pause. Are you getting tired of getting half the story from biased news sources? One outlet says one thing, and another says the complete opposite. How are you supposed to know what's actually true? That's where ground news comes in. It lets you compare how different media outlets, left, right, and center are covering the same story. So you can see the full picture instead of just the echo chamber. And here's the best part. Click the link in the description and get 40% off the Vantage tier, which gives you even deeper insights into media bias and political trends. Stay informed, think for yourself, and check out ground news in the description down below.